Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Jedi Knights Watch. My name is Graham, and today we're going to do a video that I've never done before, and I haven't really seen anybody else do either, and this is going to be the top 5 figures I sold but couldn't live without. Now, before we get going, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you don't miss any new content coming your way. Consider becoming a channel member to unlock awesome perks, and join the Wolfpack Discord so you can chat with me as well as the fellow Wolfpack members and people in the community. We have a great time, so we want you to be there. All right, little ground rule for this. These are figures that I once owned, I sold, couldn't live without it, so I bought them back. Now, I know this isn't something that a lot of collectors like to talk about because it almost makes us seem, oh, what's the word? Like, we don't know what we're doing, or we made mistakes and we don't like admitting mistakes. Well, I'm here to be vulnerable with you, and if that makes me less of a collector, then so be it. But here are my top 5 that I couldn't live without. Really quickly, before we get into this list, I do want you guys to know that these 5 were some of the very first figures that I got in the collection, and I wasn't really sure where I was going. I wasn't sure what my vision was with my collection, so I think that was part of the error in my ways as well. Was I thought I was going to take it a different way, but nostalgia and the importance of these figures just meant too much, and I had to get them back. So without further ado, let's start with number 5, and that is Darth Maul, the DX16. I got this when I still had like 4 DTOFs in my basement, and I love the figure. I don't think the head sculpt's as good as, say, the Sideshow one. I feel like the longer, slender head looks a little bit more like Ray Park, and it looks a little bit more to how the it looks more true to the Phantom Menace. In my opinion, I still think the DX16 looks great. It's a great figure, comes with a lot of great stuff. The reason that I got rid of this, though, was because I decided that I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of collecting prequels of Star Wars. I just figured to keep myself more disciplined, I would stick with the OT. So I decided to let this guy go, and over time, it was one that I missed. He's such a great character that I just wanted him in my collection. I was like, you know, I'm going to dabble in Rogue One, I'm going to dabble in the prequels just a little bit, but it doesn't mean that I have to get all of the figures. So I'm not going to be a completionist. I'm just going to get the characters that really meant a lot to me, and that's what I did. So I got Darth Maul back. Number 4 is going to be the black chrome armored Batman, and this is a beast of a figure if you've ever seen it in person. Now, this one looks great, and so does the gray colored armored Batman, but this one to me has a little bit more presence to it, a little bit more vibrance with the black chrome. It's not overly shiny. It's not going to be like a chrome Mando or a chrome Death Trooper or anything like that, but it almost looks like he's in the rain and it's dark, and it's not technically screen accurate, but I still think it looks really, really nice. It even highlights the scratches in the armor and whatnot, the gray scratches, so they stand out even a little bit more. And again, the reason why I sold this originally was, honestly, is budgetary. I have 2 young kids. You know, I have a mortgage. I take care of a house, and this hobby isn't for the faint of heart. So in the beginning, I was trying to find ways to build the collection without going broke, and some of that was like selling a Ben Affleck Batman. I already had the BVS Batman as well as the Nightmare Batman, so I'm like, well, I don't need 3. I could let this one go, and that's what I did. I let it go so that I could fund other things for my collection, and you know, that's not really something we can do as much these days because everything's losing value, but nonetheless, that's what I did, and it was a couple years ago, and it was always in the back of my head, but then I watched BVS, and I'm just like, damn. And this one that I actually got came with an extra custom faceplate and a custom spear, so you know, it was a good deal, and now I have him back in the collection. Couldn't live without him, and yeah, good to have the beast back. Number 3 is going to be the T800, the battle damage from Terminator 1, and this is a work of art figure. I think it's nearly as good as the DX13 when it comes to how good the figure is, and almost like Grail status. The DX13 gets more love, but man, this figure, the head sculpts are so well done. The detail in the robotic areas of the face looks so good, and I love Terminator. I love Terminator 2. I love the franchise as a whole, but in the beginning, when I was getting into YouTube, I was wondering how my display would look. Because you have the big three, right? You have DC, Star Wars, and Marvel. And I was like, man, but then I have a handful of like miscellaneous. And how does that really fit? And I had DTOFs at the time too. So I was almost like, they didn't have their own area in the display. So I was worried about how it looked, I guess to others, but also to myself. Like, is this going to fit where I just have a couple different franchises, splattered in here and there, or sprinkled in here and there? And again, I decided to sell and focus on the big three trilogies, and man, was that a bad idea. Oh, I regret that. And these last three are going to be miscellaneous figures that I had to get back because they are a staple in my childhood. And the T800, I remember watching this movie as a kid, and it's just such an iconic movie. There's so much nostalgia to these Terminator movies for me personally, and to not have this in the collection, I just couldn't live without it. And I think it was maybe gone a year, and then I finally just pulled the trigger and I got it back. So, yeah, really excited to have this back. It's not going to leave the collection again. So the T800, the battle damage from Terminator 1, a magnificent figure, and I can't live without it. Number 2 is RoboCop, and if I know now what I would have known then, I probably would have waited and got the RoboCop 3 so that I wouldn't have had to pay the price. But in the end, I did get a pretty good price on this one, so it wasn't even that much more than the retail of the RoboCop 3, and I didn't pay shipping or tax. So, then again, it probably works itself out to about the same price. So this is RoboCop from the first movie. Does not come with the chair, nor do I need it to, but he does come with the battle damage plates. And again, this is the same story as the other one. I sold some of these miscellaneous figures to focus on the big three, and I decided that's not for me. I gotta just collect what I love and what I grew up with, and I need the representation of these superheroes from these movies that I just loved watching as a kid and even as an adult. So RoboCop is back in the collection. He is a personal grail of mine, and I know the RoboCop 3 has come out, but man, this one is so good too. I do wish the color had a little bit more blue hint to it, but it's amazing. The only other knock I have on this is I wish it came with a sculpted hand that could hold the gun better, because it is a pain for these articulated hands to really handle this pistol. But man, RoboCop is a must, and he is here to stay. And the number one figure that I sold and couldn't live without is the Terminator 2 DX13 battle damage figure. This is honestly one of Hot Toys' best figures they've ever done, and I paid top dollar for it the first time. I paid a little bit less, but still top dollar the second time, but I got him brand spanking new the second time around. So everything works itself out, right? I love these movies. Terminator 2 is an amazing movie, and again, one that I watched over and over as a child. This is basically two figures in one. I mean, you get a somewhat clean version. They're both battle damage, but you get a battle damaged head and body, but then an extra battle damaged head and a torn off arm and all of these cool accessories. And you even get the T1000, kind of like a sculpted statue of him, which is cool too if you want to use that. It's just, this is a true definition of a DX figure, and again, just means so much to have this in the collection. I felt so guilty when I sold this the first time, and it ate at me for a while until I decided it doesn't matter what my collection looks like to others, or even to myself when it comes to keeping things like in line with the franchises. Like if I have one case that's odds and ends, who cares? Like, that's what I love, and that represents me, so that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I did, and I got it back. And you can see kind of behind me a little bit of the cases with, my Crow and Jack Sparrow and Edward Scissorhands, and I'll have Willy Wonka from Mars Toys coming soon. So I'm excited to build off of these miscellaneous characters. I really do hope that Hot Toys considers doing a little bit more each year. There are still so many figures we haven't gotten, and so many figures that need 2.0s. We need a John McClane. We need a 2.0 Indiana Jones. We need Aliens, redone. Predators, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's my list. Number 5, Darth Maul, DX16. Number 4 is Black Chrome Armored Batman. Number 3 is the T800 Battle Damage. Number 2 is RoboCop. And number 1 is the Terminator DX13. What do you think of this list? Did I make a good choice in getting these figures back? What are the figures that you sold, or just that you have, that you won't sell, that you can't live without. I want to hear from you in the comments below, so let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.